And greetings everyone, and welcome back to another week of the Soul Citizens. And we are back, 2022, with a whole new group of faces for this year that we haven't seen in a little bit. We've got a special guest today that I'm excited to have on the show, and this show is going to be a total yin yang different show. So you better put your belt on, strap on, because we're gonna have a good conversation today. Let me start out by introducing, let's just get the cast first. Let me start to my far right, the man himself from the ATL, Gomab. What's up, my brother?
Man, doing great, man. On top of the world, go Mob and go Dogs, national champions. Finally took down Nick Saban in Alabama. I know y'all might not care, but I do. So, go Mob. Well, let's go.
Congrats to Atlanta. Okay, I'll give you that. Congrats to Atlanta. All right, it's better than listening to Colossal talk about Florida, so I'm glad to hear something different at least this time. All right. Next, I'm going to go to my friend we haven't seen in a little bit, the man himself, Younique. What's up, my brother?
What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back. Happy New Year. 2020 on its way.
2020 is on its way. By the way, we've got some really cool things that are going to be coming. 2022. Listen, I'm in a time machine, okay? 2022.
I got confused. I was looking at Rabbah, and it's just his age sent me back 2 years.
Oh my God.
Man.
Hey,
whatever, man.
He said, you'll get that soon.
Keep having birthdays.
There you go.
Stuff going on. Now suddenly my headset's not working.
Oh no. Okay. Well, let's see if we can wait till you switch out. Let us know when you're back up.
As long as you're not getting feedback, I think we're good.
Yeah, you're good. We're not getting any feedback. Okay. Awesome. All right. And then last but not least, we have a special guest. He's a good friend who's been around for a long time, been in the game a long time. Man himself from down under, not down under because that would be Australia, but from down south, RabbahHagri. Rabbah, what's up and welcome, man.
Shalom.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, man. Listen, Rabbah and I were talking about a subject back in December, right? Before we got out of last year. We were talking about an idea, and the idea was to have conversations about things that are in Star Citizen that we need to be a little bit more critical about, whether it's development, gameplay, whatever the case may be. And we tossed it around for a little bit, got past the holidays. And I said, Rabbah, this is a show coming up that'll be perfect to introduce this new section. And he was definitely game for it. He's done some research, which let me tell you right off the bat, I'm appreciative of because he did some homework. He's not just talking off the top of his head. He's a real no-nonsense cat. So I'm telling y'all now, I'm warning you now, make sure you're strapped in because he's a no-nonsense guy. And we're going to have a real good conversation today. The title of the show today is Backers, Boasters, and Balkers. Oh, before I get into that, let me give a big shout out to New Soul. The song you guys heard at the beginning today is one of their newest tracks they cut, called Jumptown 2.0, and you heard there were a lot of different backers or Star Citizen people that participated. Fast Cart's voice was in there, Love Machine was in there, Buster the Destroyer was in there, Pops in Space was in there, and even Fist to Face himself threw a little bit of words in there, and not to mention Dig Dad 32, our good friend, was in there too. So we're going to
dropping bars.
So we're going to premiere the video midway through the show, so stick around because you definitely want to see it. They did a really good job on it. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. But let's go ahead and jump into the show today. As you guys saw, the title for the show today, as you see on the screen, is Backers, Boasters, and Balkers. And let me ask, I'm going to go around the room here. Gomab, if you had to pick a face on there, which one do you think you fall on? Between this, just go with the faces. I'm not going to worry about the titles. Which one is you?
Hey, it depends on the day. I'm gonna be honest with you. It depends on the day. It depends on the issue. It depends on the topic.
Okay.
I cannot be put into a box.
Have you been all three? Is that what you're trying to say?
I've been all three at some point in time. I've been pissed, and then I've also been the one riding in on that white horse. So.
Okay. All right, Rabbah, I'm gonna go to you next. Which one do you favor, or would you say that you've been a little bit of all of them?
I would say I've not been a white horse because I'm more pragmatic when it comes to looking at what we've been promised and what's been delivered. And you softened my intro somewhat. I'm a little more on the critical side of how things are as opposed to how things should be, I feel, based on what we've been sold.
No, that's cool. All right. Do you pick any of those faces, or you just you gonna wait and let your work tell the story? Which one?
I'd say the one on the one on the right.
The one on the right. Okay. All right. Younique, how about you? Any of those faces look familiar to you, or are you a little of all?
Well, I'm going to tell. So Rabbah just lies right from this jump. All of y'all are liars. So everybody started out as a backer. You spent your money. You took the hook. You was a backer. Now, time progressed on, which we can absolutely see because just check Rabbah's beard. There's a lot of time going on. And you can easily end up as a balker at the end. But yeah, I started out as a backer. My grin is just not that big right now. That's all.
Okay. Well, I will say this, Robin. We didn't tell Younique when he left what happened. We happened to be commenting about all of our beards. And Gomab, what did you say the name of the show is today?
Senior Soul Citizens.
The Senior Citizens, yeah.
Soul Senior Citizens.
Yeah, you were the only person that didn't have the gray beard going on. So,
I'm a young guy.
You're the young whippersnapper in the room, I guess. Okay.
I have a feeling if he grew out that beard, it'll have some frosting in it. There's some frosting in it too. So
it's got some frosting, but I can't grow a beard, man. It drives me insane.
Oh God. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and open up the show. We're going to start and do these in categories. We're going to do backers first, then boasters, then balkers. And what we want to do, and I told the panel about this. Thank you. Who is that? Fushai AOC. Thank you so much for that follow. We appreciate that. And Stranger, I saw you followed us right before the show. Thank you as well for that follow. We appreciate you guys. I want to start out with some definitions. And the reason why I'm doing definitions is not because I don't think you guys know what a backer is. What I do want to do is lay some groundwork so that we're all singing off the same sheet of music as far as the definitions that we're going by. Now, you may have your own definition. That's entirely up to you. But I do want to make sure that you all understand from our perspective where we are with backers. Now, my panelists may feel a little differently too, but I'm the producer of the show. This is the backers the definitions I came up with, okay? Fushi, thank you. Thank you for the subscription as well. Prime sub on top of it. Amazon, thank you so much, Fushi. Okay, so let's start out with the definition, the definition of a backer. Now, I hope these credits work because I was doing this very last minute today. Okay, what is a backer? A backer is someone who helps or supports a project, an organization, or a person, usually by giving them money. Okay, so I think, as you mentioned, Younique, all of us kind of fell into that category. We heard about a project, we decided to support it, and we gave them money. Is everybody in agreement to that? Gomab's already drinking out that cup on the right, Rabbah. He's started already.
It's the water.
Is that the water?
We can't tell. You can't tell by the color.
Can't tell.
Okay. All right. The left cup is the one we got to worry about. All right.
Two cups. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So we would agree that all of us are backers, and many of you who are here as backers as well. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see. I got to get my next one. What are backers when it comes to Kickstarter? Many of you all know that when Star Citizen started out, it started out as a Kickstarter. A lot of us were not around back then. I came in a year later after the Kickstarter started. But a lot of people who were here in 2012, those last 2 or 3 months of that year, came on because they heard about the Kickstarter project. And that says backers are folks who, this is from Kickstarter, by the way. Backers are folks who pledge money to join creators and bring a project to life. Kickstarter is not a store. Backers support a creative process. Rewards are a creator's chance to share a piece of their project with their backer community. Okay. So for those people like Younique, if I'm remembering correctly, you came in as a Kickstarter backer, right?
Absolutely.
Robert, did you come in as a Kickstarter backer?
No, I came in 17.
In 17. Okay. And Gomab, you?
15, 16.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so Younique can lay claim to this whole thing of being a Kickstarter. If you don't mind me asking, Younique, when you came in with the Kickstarter, did you have any trepidation about that whole, because, back then, it was still kind of new to the whole gaming thing. Were you kind of comfortable jumping into Kickstarter, or were you kind of a little hesitant before you jumped in?
No, there was no way. So you got to remember, the very first sort of overall pitch was Chris Roberts talking about, to people like me, basically it was Wing Commander 5.
Right.
I mean, if you think about all the games, how many get 4 absolute releases and they all knock it out of the park? I mean, you're talking about Chris Roberts' wheelhouse. And so he said Wing Commander 5, but updated with the graphics and stuff. Woo! Just every nickel I had, I threw right in.
Okay. And to your point, this was really about Squadron 42 in the beginning, right? You know, this whole Star Citizen 42 thing evolved later. So a lot of the people, like you said, heard Chris Rock. It'd be like this if George Lucas said, "Hey, I'm making another Star Wars," right? I mean, that kind of was the response to how people so quickly came on board and gave them so much money within 2 months period. They had reached their goal and surpassed their goal, in fact.
Okay. And he was only asking for 10 million.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next subject. Now, this is the one that we want to talk about a little bit more. What is an investor? Because quite often we've heard people say, "I'm an investor," or "I've invested so much money into this game." The definition, this came from investment.com, I think, this definition. An investor is any person or other entity, such as a firm or mutual fund, who commits capital with the expectation of receiving financial returns. So technically, we are not investors. There are other controls, and maybe Rabbah and Gomab and Younique, you guys can talk about what are benefits that investors get, such as ROI. There's a return on investment, right? When people put up money, they do it because they're hoping, as they said in this description, to make money. What are some other things that investors get to do when it comes to anything that of a group of investors supporting something? Anybody want to toss in on that?
Well, if it depends on how many shares you have and how they've divvied them up. But if you are a big enough investor, sometimes you actually have voting rights as to the future of the business that you're investing in, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that we definitely don't have here with this game. We don't have a vote. We might have forums, but we don't have a vote.
Okay,
and that's what I think people are missing. That you don't have a vote.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would have said the same thing, basically, to have some sort of input or control, some degree of control over the development and or the end product. But again, as backers, we don't get that.
Yeah.
So the other thing you would get along with the voting rights, shares, which proves ownership, would be a legal standing, right, to back those things up. And so this is how you know you're not an investor, because those are three things you don't have.
Yeah.
So we do have our issue council. They do listen to us pretty much, trying to help guide what they're developing and testing into what we feel is a workable solution for what they're achieving. But that's it. I mean, you basically took a bunch of money and threw it in a pot and gave it to Chris Roberts to manifest what's in his head as a dream. That's all you get. You get it.
Rabbah said something that I think that people forget about too, is a critical word. He talked about control too, because depending in investments, you can actually affect the direction, not just in the sense of a vote. They can present something to investors that they can vote on. There are also other accesses of things that you have when you're an investor. Financials, for example. There are a lot of things that you can ask questions about. There can even be pressure that is put on by shareholders or those who invest on a business or corporation to make certain things happen. As you mentioned, Gomab, depending on what your share, the amount of shares you have in it. I think it's important that we distinguish this a little bit. I'm not trying to hardline it, but I know we say we invested in this game, and I know we use the term loosely. It's not that everybody thinks that they're an investor. We invest time. We have invested some money in the game, but what we get back in return for that is, or what we hope to get back, is a game that delivers with a certain level of expectation that we have based upon what the developer has told us. We expect certain things to happen within a certain time frame, right? We don't want something to be like 20 years later and I got great grandkids before something happens. We want a reasonable amount of time before we see what we call, and we can have a return on investment, and that may be our enjoyment, right? The fact that we enjoy playing the game, we see it coming to fruition. We may even see the fact that we see it grow, that it becomes not just Squadron 42, but the next game. And those become the payoffs for us as backers. But there is no financial return. Now, we're mentioning this because, as you guys know, there are games that are coming out now that are offering true financial investment, where people can actually put money in. They can do crypto, they can do other forms of or currency, and they're hoping to invest to make money. Anybody got anything about that? And then before we move on?
Yeah,
gambling.
just real quick. I think I would not be surprised if the way that RSI Star Citizen, is organized with backers as opposed to investors was done consciously, so that in order to avoid having to deal with the responsibility to investors to deliver in a time frame, and that has afforded RSI to go off and do things at their pace without consideration, without being concerned about backlash, and so to speak, from investors.
Yeah.
And when they said, well, we're going to write a new engine and that's what we're going to base everything on, and that's going to take us a year. So basically what you got at this point is what you got. And there was nothing that we could say about it.
That's a good point. Because if there were true investors, you're right, there may have been some people who protested and pushed back on that, right? Or decide to say, I'm selling my shares and I'm getting out.
Which, and to be honest, is crucial to the nature of the development of this game, right? I mean, as much as we can be salty about stuff, they are trying to do things that are different than any other game has ever done.
Shipwreck, thank you for that sub.
Shipwreck.
We appreciate
Thanks for the sub.
Thank you, Shipwreck.
They're trying to do something different, right? And that's when someone talks, when I talk to somebody about Star Citizen, they're like, "Oh, what is it? Never heard of it." And I was like, "Well, first thing, it's a completely crowd-funded game that is not beholden to any major gaming studio that you've ever dealt with, right? That's just pushing on them like an Activision or EA. That's just saying, hey, we just got to get that game out now. I don't care if it sucks. Put it out. We'll get pre-orders. We'll get people buying into it. We'll fix it on the back end. We're Cyberpunk 2077, that thing, and be done with it and make our money and run for the hills. Like, so it's a different thing. So they, I agree. They probably did do it purposely, but there's no other way they could have done it if they were going to do what they're doing.
No disagreement there. None.
Okay. Younique, anything? Are you good?
Nah, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. All right, good. So this goes to the next question that we had, and that question was, well, what rights do backers have? What are the things that backers can do? Because we're not on no board, we don't have shares, we don't get to sit in investor meetings, we don't get to pick up the phone and tell Chris Roberts, hey, listen, I think you guys need to do blah 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 blah. So what, as backers, what are some of the things that we can do? Gomab, let me go to Younique first on that one. Younique, are you hearing us okay?
I'm hearing you just fine. I just had to get my visual prop to help with this understanding.
Okay, yeah.
So here's a backer what you get to do. Take your money, kiss it goodbye. That's what you get to do. I'm inside the house, so otherwise I'd light it on. That's basically it. It's gone, right? You bought in. You got a certain amount of time to ask for a refund if you did. If you don't hit that window, you don't get a refund. You just get what you get, So the best way to get what you want out of the game, or as close as what you want, is to give them the only thing that you can give them, which they ask for, and provide a mechanism for you, is to give them feedback on the bugs, on direction, when they bring out some concept, respond into the forums about the concept, how you would like to see that gameplay developed, give them nuances and insights to things that you would like.
Right.
That's how the caves came out. Somebody just said, hey, we got this other tech for linking things together. If we change the graphics, it could be caves. And now that's in the game.
Okay. I'm going to ask Rabbah and Gomab this next question, and then Younique, if you want to chime in, you can. Do you think that there are so many players in the game and not, what's the word I want to look for? Part of the deal of being able to when you pay into this game. And by the way, Thrakazak, thank you for that sub, and Bastion Steel, thank you for the follow.
Bastion Steel,
appreciate
that's
that. Thank you.
One of my guys from Jumptown.
Oh, awesome. Okay, now here's my question. My question is this.
Is Jumptown a code for prison?
He's being funny.
No.
All right. So here's my question. Don't forget, and you're hot micing, Younique, so be careful with the plastic. You're good though.
Sorry.
That's okay. Here's the question. is quite often we will, I'm trying not to go political on this statement when I say it, but it's the example I want to use.
Go political.
Okay.
Go.
People will complain about things not being done or changed or happening, but they themselves don't engage in making the change happen. Part of paying into Star Citizen is to have the right or the privilege to play the game, but not just play the game, test the game. Do you think, like Rabbah went to the issue council, he went and looked up stuff and blah, 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 blah. Do you think that there's a possibility that that there's not enough heat? One of the things that we have as backers that would allow more heat would be if more players participated in the reporting of problems in the game. Because to me, it seems like more players complain about the problems, but don't even go to the issue council, don't post a ticket, don't go back and verify bugs. What they do is, I want the privilege to play, and I stop playing until it gets fixed. I'll be back next patch, right? But if people use that right that they have to go to the forums in an intelligent way and articulate what's wrong, to go to tickets and verify and say, hey, instead of there being 20 things wrong, there's 75 things wrong on that thing now, or 200 things wrong. Do you think that that would be another thing that we could do as backers to make things happen faster and better?
I'll comment on. I'll comment on that. I think so, because again, my thing is, I'm not about sunshine and daffodils, and that's what most forums most public forums regarding Star Citizen are, is way too much sunshine and daffodils. And when you start, if you had a more realistic degree of feedback to the developers, to the communities, that would apply pressure to them to actually do more to move things forward faster. There are bugs that have been around for years, okay, but everybody's singing the praises of the new bitmap that's Star Citizen now, rather than, well, what about these 40 bugs I've been dealing with for 3 years? There's more of, and for lack of a better word, idol worship to Chris Roberts than there is holding them accountable for what is and is not done and in place and it's fixed in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to go to something that Keita's saying, and Keita's saying, time is irrelevant. And I know that one of the things that the more we dig into development, understand the fact that they need time, because one of the points we're going to talk about later is that sometimes there are games that have plenty of time and they still aren't successful, right? There are some games that are given less time and they fail, right? Because they didn't give them enough time. The question becomes, and this is a difficult thing because this is a unique project. It's not like other projects, right? There's some things that are similar, but there are a lot of things that are very different. So there's no real roadmap to determine what is real, what is the right time for Star Citizen. Now, I've always said, and you guys have heard me say this on the show before, that I think at the 10-year mark, CIG needs to put out something relevant. And I'm not talking about Star Citizen. I'm referring to Squadron 42. I think that they need to put out something within this next year, between 2022 and 2023, that says, here we are and Squadron's about to come out. Because I think that anybody who knows anything about Star Citizen knows Star Citizen is going to take a long time to come into full fruition. But Squadron 42 will set the standard and validate whether or not all the hard work, the years and waiting and money was worth it. If they don't deliver, if they start going into year 11, 12, 13, and Squadron 42 isn't forward, my fear, and this is my personal fear, is that the community will start wondering and saying, okay, you know what? This has been a decade and we haven't gotten anything significant other than a vertical slice that we got back in 2018. And I don't think that that's a healthy place for us to be. And I think CIG does need to be able to produce something within that 10-year period. And that's based upon many AAA games that it took anywhere between 9 and 11 years to be produced. And we're going to talk about some of those games at the end of the show here. Younique, you are killing us with that blasting.
Oh, sorry.
Just stop moving. Just stop moving.
Stop moving. Be still.
So when I invest, what I put money up for was Squadron 42.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that was there. That was the target. That was what we were quote unquote paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Citizen at the time I got in was supposed to be for free add-on. It's like, okay, fine, whatever, but I want Squadron 42.
Mm-hmm.
And The last thing that I heard was that Squadron 42 was supposed to go beta in December past.
It was either.
It was 19.
Yeah, 19.
Well, I mean, it was 20.
It was supposed to be 20. We were supposed to see something, I think, and in 19
right,
they announced it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were supposed to get Squadron 42 beta or alpha, whatever they termed it, in December 20.
Mm.
Well, they said we're not going to release it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to make December 2020, and that's all they said.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen, I haven't read, I haven't heard anybody talking about until, recently I start what people are speculating. Oh, we're going to get Squadron 42 beta, by November. Well, but nothing from CIG.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a problem.
Yeah. And it was, if you remember last year, it was a problem because everybody was saying, we have not heard anything about Squadron 42. I mean, don't get me wrong. They put out the newsletters and there's detailed information in relation to development. But the timeline has not been updated so that we can look at the timeline and see. They have put it into the tracker and we can see certain elements of development, but it doesn't let us know any idea of how close are we. And again, that's why I mentioned about the vertical slice, because the vertical slice was the one thing that we did get that had some substance to it to let us know where they were. But since then, it's been an issue for a lot of the Squadron 42 people, not the Star Citizen people, and I've said this before. The people who wanted to Squadron 42, that is the argument. But unfortunately, Star Citizen is the label that gets overshadowed on top of it, right? Because that's what people hear about. And most people outside of this gaming community don't even know what Squadron 42 is. They know about Star Citizen. Gomab, let me jump to you about this whole thing about should the backers participate more in the process of development versus just being players? Any thoughts?
Hey, man, if you don't vote, you don't count. All right. Look, just to be,
but some people say we voted with our dollars. Some people say we voted with our dollars.
Yeah, you're right. You have, right? Here's the thing. You have a lot of different things at your disposal as a backer, right? Like you said, you got the issue council. You got forums. They ask for questions. They look for feedback often. And if you aren't participating in those things, and all you're doing is sitting in somebody's Discord talking trash, you're not really helping, right? And I get it. If you spent a lot of money backing a game, you don't feel like you have this responsibility to be a part of the development. But for us that are backing an alpha, and that's what the Star Citizen PU is. It is a tech POC, right, where they testing out technologies that are going to be going into Squadron 42. So they put it in there to get our feedback and to understand what works, what doesn't work, what breaks the game, what doesn't break the game. So that's what makes this unique, right? A lot of what breaks the paradigm is the fact that you can spend so much money, right? You can spend so much money in this game with absolutely zero promise that it's actually going to work, right? That it's all possible. It's a possibility that I could go out and, next time there's a Javelin sale, I can go buy a Javelin, right? And then the next patch comes out and it's like a 30K every 30 minutes again. And I can't even get in the start, in there. That money's gone, right? I have no recourse to go back and say, I can't, because they're going to be like, look, dude, you can't even fly that Javelin anyway. That Javelin is a freaking JPEG in a folder on your hangar. Get out of here. Like, what are you expecting here? Mm-hmm. So it's people are putting what they're used to getting from other AAA released games, right? Where you pay your $60 and you get a CD key or you get a download link and you log in. And if it doesn't work, if Halo doesn't work, I can't get into big team battles on Halo. I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? Because I paid for the game and I want to play a big team battle. 343 fix that. Now I'm not here to be part of your development. I paid for a finished game. This ain't that.
Yeah, let me go to something that that Rabah said earlier, because he talked about the spectrum and what gets posted on forums. I would go counter to you a little bit on that, Robert, that there are roses, daffodils, and daisies. What I see more is a lot of unhelpful information. When I do see criticisms, they are criticisms that are out of frustration more than helping to provide what needs to be done to get over the hump. And I don't know if that's just because of gamer rage or what. But what I see is a lot of frustration. People posting, or people arguing with other people. They're not even talking to the devs anymore. They're just having an argument with somebody else because they don't agree with what they said. And I worry, and I wonder, when CIG created this avenue for people to be able to express and hopefully help in the development, whether that was a gamble, because I don't know what maybe you guys can give me what you think the percentage is of how many players do you think actually report when they run into something or just shut down.
I'm sorry. What I was talking about when I said that about Sunshine and Daffodils was the YouTube channels, the Twitch channels.
Okay.
Not the forums.
Okay, I misunderstood you. Okay, I got you.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks. Thanks for clarifying. What do you guys think? Do you think 20% of the people? I mean, what do you all think? Maybe chat, you all can tell me. I mean, how many people actually do tickets? Do you get frustrated? Do you get tired of doing tickets? Maybe people are tired of doing them. Maybe they've done them and they feel frustrated and they don't, and they don't do them, because they feel like nothing changes if I do, kind of like the voting thing, right? My vote won't make a difference. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I've heard the people who
put in so many tickets and nothing's happened.
But I've also heard people say, I'm not doing nothing because I'm not getting paid to do it. I've heard that speech. If people. Part of the whole thing of paying for this was that you could do it. And then people will say, well, they're not paying me to be a tester. I'm not putting anything in. So, how do we work around this? I don't know. You guys give me some thoughts real quick and we'll move on to the next one.
Go ahead.
Go.
I think we need to, we as a user community, need to become more active. We need to become more active on the Spectrum forums. We need to post more and upvote more items on the issue council because, excuse me, like I said, there are items out there that have been there for years and they have still not been fixed. And I'll cover some of those when we get to the bug portion.
Okay.
And without that firm pushback of the community saying, no, CIG, these bugs need to be addressed. We can't, we have 30Ks that have, there have been releases in the past where it was barely playable because of 30Ks. And then they say, well, we're gonna resolve that. We're gonna add chip persistence. Well, that doesn't work out entirely either. So,
or the frustration that even if it does work, you're still dealing with 30Ks, which you can't even enjoy the persistence because of 30Ks.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Younique, what were you gonna say? And we're gonna move on.
Well, I mean, there's a spectrum of the people, right? So if you haven't paid for anything, you don't have a right really to say anything. But if you've put money into the game, you do have a right to log bugs. But the only people working on the game full time is Chris Robertson and his crew. Everybody else has day jobs too. So there's all the way to the spectrum of I don't and won't do a second job of helping them do this, right? So you've got that in a range of things. So yeah, you do need more community support with the bugs. I think one of the most terrible features they put in, it's good and it's bad. It's the fact that I can post a bug and somebody else can come in without any really trying and comment on mine and say I couldn't replicate it, which kind of downgrades all the effort you put into it. And all they say is, well, I couldn't replicate it. Well, that doesn't mean that it's not happening on my machine, my setup, my internet connection. So those are some things. So there's a balance on it. Maybe what we try to do is get a groundswell of, hey, because then again, how long do you do it? I mean, ever since we could play the game, like I said, I'm one of the earlier donators back in 2012. From a job aspect, how many bugs do I need to keep trying to track down and report? How long does this go on? Before we sort of get disinterested or tired of doing it, right? I don't care that the bugs weren't being fixed. I like that they're logged. I don't really care if they're not being fixed from that particular aspect. I mean, from a playability aspect, but things also have to get categorized. And this is one of the things as a software engineer that happens all the time. Rabbah reports a bug, Gomab reports another bug, They're both in some part of the game that is in a level 1 or a level 2, and I know it's going to go away when I get to another level 3, or we're completely revamping it, but we're not allowed to tell anybody this new thing is coming. So that bug's not going to get addressed. They don't really tell you that. You know, so how many things are just going to go away when this new bigger block of code comes in? Now, it might have more bugs, but the bugs to this other code that we're just going to rip out, right?
Yeah.
So remember, we replaced graphics engines. All the bugs on the old graphics engines just get deleted because they don't count anymore.
Okay. All right, we could go on and on with the backers. We got to get to our other two topics. So I'm going to move forward a little bit here, and we're going to start talking about boasters. Let's talk about the definition of a boaster. What is a boaster? A boaster is someone who is known for boasting, bragging, especially in a way that exaggerates or shows excessive pride about the boaster's skills, possessions, or accomplishments. So this is kind of talking about on a more personal level, but I'm sure we could put it on an external too. There are people who are very they'll brag about, you know, how great Star Citizen is, and you know, and just, you know, just flowing over and over with all the great things about Star Citizen, and not talk about, well, yeah, it's got some problems, or yeah, it doesn't, sometimes you will run some issues. They just talk about how beautiful the graphics are and how great it is to fly in the ships, and how great Chris Roberts is, and everything's rosy. But I'm talking on a boasting level, okay? I'm talking on a very unbalanced kind of way, okay? That's a boaster. The other thing I want to give you that for boasters is the term that we use sometimes called a white knight. And what does it mean to be a white knight? Now, this has multiple definitions, y'all. Some of y'all know what the other definition is. We won't go there. But I'm going to refer to it in gaming, okay? In gaming, it says a white knight can also be more generally referred to someone who rushes to the defense of another online, usually a person whose actions aren't seen as worthy of defense. So there are people who will, as soon as you say anything about Star Citizen, they will immediately get worked up and jump on you and tell you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 and become very, and the word here is that they become defensive. They feel like they have to defend the game. It is mandatory that they defend the game, okay? So let's kind of play with those two right there. I'm gonna start off with Gomab on this one this time around. Gomab, any thoughts about boasters? Does that help? Where does that land with, or white knights, whichever one you want to go with? You're muted, buddy.
Can't hear you, bro.
That's because he's picking up that left cup. Go ahead.
There we go. The difference between being informed and indoctrinated, right, is if you ask somebody, hey, is there something I can say that can change your mind? If they say no, then they're not informed. They're just indoctrinated. They are Star Citizen. What I would recommend everybody do is to start your statements with I like the game because of XYZ, not this game is better than everything else because A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? No, it's your opinion. It's your money. It's your time. It's your relationships with your kids and wife if you're playing all damn day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you. You do what you want to do. And everybody else can do what they want to do. So, like, I'm not with the people.
But why does it bother the boaster, right? When someone comes back with a criticism, and let's say it's a not even a heavy criticism, it's just something critical. Why does that flame some people into, Rob's got an answer for that. Okay, Rob.
I can tell you.
Let me let Gomab and they'll get Rob's answer. Go ahead, Gomab. What were you going to say?
Because they have attached so much of their own self to the project, right? And so if you attack the project, they feel like they have been personally, absconded. I feel assaulted and get out of here. And it's a video game at the end of the day. You may have spent $2,000, $3,000, $6,000, $12,000 on it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's still, after all, it's something that you don't control, but you still just purchase. And if somebody don't like it, that's on them. They don't have to like it. Okay. They don't have to play it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wish I was better at this, but there was a script. There's even a scripture that talks about a person who has made a choice, who wants to have that choice reinforced by other people following that same choice. And that's a lot of what goes in with the white knights. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be possibly in a position where their choice was wrong. So they defend it at all costs against whatever perceived attack there is, so that they can continue to substantiate their choice as the right choice.
So they feel almost threatened to a certain degree.
Right.
When you see threatening what their thoughts are about it or whatever their beliefs about it. Younique, any thoughts about that? The White Knight would get them all weirded out? Actually, I'm asking a White Knight that question, Rob. I don't know why I'm asking him that.
I know.
No, I'm not a White Knight. I get on him about the things that drag on forever.
Right.
Just trying to remind them that, hey, I remember when you were promised this, and it was a big promise, right? It was one of their leading things. And like I said, now they don't even mention it, right? They just say, shut up and go to the back of the bus. So I float back and forth, basically. I think Squadron 42 is going to happen. It is Chris Roberts' wheelhouse. It might be way over the top compared to Star Citizen. The technologies might not translate very well because he just does that kind of game genre storytelling, follow along the storybook. That's what Wing Commander did well. I can't fathom how that fails, really.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've actually had a fear about it to a certain degree.
Really?
Because quite many of us reminisce about what Wing Commander was. And I wonder whether or not that same model would work today. Because I think there are people who desire it. Don't get me wrong. I think there are players out there who are looking for that game it has that depth and detail. But I also look at what is the gaming community and gaming industry like right now, where we've been conditioned into these things that very quickly satisfy us. I said this earlier when we were in Test Squadron. I said, we've become this group of people. When I was coming up in gaming, you bragged about spending 50, 70, 80 hours in a game. Now we live in a world where we brag about spending 15, 12, 10 hours in a game. It's reversed for some reason. And when you start talking about doing long form games, I think Squadron has 28 chapters. Are people really ready to do that type of thing that says you got to do all these chapters and get to the end, and then maybe when you get there, you might get your F8. And then there's going to be another chapter after that. Are we really ready for that? Some people are. I'm not saying that there aren't people who aren't. But I just worry about whether or not the gaming community, I'm not talking about Star Citizen community, I'm talking about just gaming people in general, are ready to go back to that long form type of gaming. I think they can do with Star Citizen, but I hope that he sparks that back in gamers again, where they do want to do it. Because I do worry about that, because there aren't games being put out like that. Now, Red Dead Redemption, some other ones that are doing it a little bit, but in general, not like on the level that Chris Roberts is talking about doing. But that's just me. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The only way I think Squadron 42 comes out and is good is if somebody locks Chris Roberts in a room and doesn't let him talk and lets him finish the damn game. Because every time he sees something or has an idea, it gets delayed another 6 months.
Okay, I'm going to White Knight to that. People always say this stuff about what's the word?
Feature creep.
Feature creep. I ain't heard no feature creeping forever. Honestly, I have not heard any rumblings about any new thing that's seen somewhere and that we're adding it. And I know people keep saying that because that's Chris's reputation to always take things to the next level. But I'm not being funny when I say this. Most people who are artistic geniuses are always looking to do things outside of the box and better than what the normal people don't even think of. George Lucas would do this. Michael Jackson would do this. There are people, they'd have the best musicians in the world come in and play something for them, and they say, man, that's amazing. But I still want it better.
But they would also have a producer.
Wait.
And they're saying,
yeah, but guess what happened though? Eventually they started producing themselves, because when they had the other producers who told them to shut it down, right? It started affecting the project. All I'm saying is this. I know it's a gamble.
Blood on the dance floor.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. You know, I don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he could just continue to come up with stuff. All I'm saying is that to push for something that's entirely different that we've never seen before is not something you pull a recipe out of the book and start making. At the same time, there is, to the point of accountability to those people who are paid into it, there is an expectation for delivery. And Rob said this earlier. It's not about the project. It's about where are we? We aren't hearing anything to let us know. Are we 2 years out? Are we 1 year out? What's the progress? Because some of the people have been in here 3, 5, 7, 10 years, and there's silence in that aspect of understanding where the development process is. We get the updates, but that doesn't give us, and I know, we want to hear, first quarter 2023. We want to hear that, right? But we also know what happens when you put that out there and it doesn't happen. But CIG does need to deliver something to us that, for lack of a better term, appeases us, keeps us in the loop.
The only reason why we feel that, and the only reason why people that feel that way is because there is a PU, right?
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying,
if we weren't
because
PU and we wouldn't be thinking about it. I get it.
No, because there is a PU that they have to put time and effort into maintaining and updating and fixing issue council bugs and dealing with salt on the forums and all this crap.
Mm-hmm.
If that wasn't going on, we wouldn't be, not to keep bringing in other games that aren't doing anything on the scale of what Star Citizen's doing, but Cyberpunk, right? They were like, hey, we're going to do it December. We're not going to make December. We're going to do it next December. See y'all then. You know what I'm saying? There was no, quarterly updates and us letting you know what it is and say, hey, it's not ready. It's not ready. But because we're engaged in this, and some people play this game every day or at least weekly or monthly or whatever, they're able to get in and actually, be engaged. That they want to know, when's that next thing that I've been waiting for coming. And I think that's causing a disconnect in the community that is I don't know how to fix that unless they just live stream their freaking conference calls and their team meetings every week.
Well, for people like Rabbah and Younique who got in because of Squadron 42, I get it. Even though I want to play Squadron 42, I'm way more about Star Citizen because I came out of Eve and I want the universe kind of dynamic. You know what I'm saying? And so I know that does motivate some people too. The people who are waiting on that standalone, I remember going to LA in 2016 when we thought we were going to see the vertical slice there. And we were tremendously disappointed because people traveled freaking around the world to come there to see what Squadron 42 was going to be. Because the year before that, we had been promised that it was going to be released. Okay. We get there and we get to LA and it's like, it ain't ready.
Yeah, I would stop giving dates. We're like, look, we'll let you know when it's coming out.
But the problem is, I get that. I get the it'll be ready when it's ready thing. But I still think when you have people who have given money, they're not investors. I still think that there is somewhat of an agreement because of communication to let us know where we are. And I don't think that always gets delivered to people, especially for Squadron. Star Citizen, I have no issue with, but for Squadron, because listen. Those 800 plus people that they have working at CIG right now are not all working on Star Citizen. There are many of them that are solely working on Squadron. There are other people who are working on Star Citizen. And even if you split that in half at 400 people is a lot of people in the game studio. There's some AAA studios that have 400 folks. That's a lot of people working on the game. Now, the fact that they're in tandem, I agree with you on that point, does make a difference, right? The fact that these technologies are moving forward together and they do impact each other, right? But I'm just saying, I do think that there should be a little bit more updating on that Squadron 42 stuff because that was the big promise in the beginning.
Right.
That was the big promise in the beginning with Squadron.
I agree. And it's frustrating that there really have been no updates. Mm-hmm. And back to the Chris Roberts locking him in a room and making him focus on getting the game done. Back in my software engineer days, I worked for somebody just like Chris Roberts. He would see something new. Ooh, shiny. Let's add that to the product. No, we're doing a project for a major Northeast metropolitan city that has been 4 years in the making, and you're going to keep adding features based on something that you see that's sitting on the shelf that's shiny. As the architect on that project, I stood up to him and made him back down, and it did not go well for me after that for a while, but that's a different story. But I think that he should focus on delivering what's promised. And if it is 2 years out, like Griff was saying, tell us this is where we are in a development cycle. This is what's going on, and this is when you can expect to see things ready for release.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done with it.
Yeah.
Sure you will.
Yeah, I will. as folks that are in software development, right? You know what I'm saying? Yes, you know what deadlines are, and you know you add extra padding on there before you release it to your folks. But you also know the closer you get to it, the more the last 5% takes up 80% of your time, right? So, not that I'm sitting here and saying that they're doing right by not communicating, but I feel like people kind of just throw all that stuff out of the window and say, hey, I want to know. Hell, they don't know. That's why they don't tell us, because they don't know. They can tell you where they are right now. And if they release something right now, everybody, every YouTuber, every Twitch streamer, everybody who has a Star Citizen account would extrapolate something from it that will be 100% incorrect because they don't know. So why do it? Why cause that? Just let me know when it's going to be done. Meanwhile, keep the damn PU functional, stable, without 30Ks, and let me have some fun.
Okay, fair enough. Younique, the three of us have been dominant. You got anything before I move on?
Just a couple of things. So back, Gomab said something about what was that game?
Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk, yeah. So my only comment on that, it should have been pushed back yet another year.
It should have. You're right.
Yeah, right. So just to close off that conversation. And then I think the last year, Chris Roberts has buckled down. Anybody's hardly seen him. Everybody was complaining. We haven't heard or seen Chris Roberts. I think he's been bearing his head to help. They probably got stuck in some real difficult things, knowing that some of the technology they're trying to do is new and cutting edge, and at the same time trying to do future business based on the technologies that they're building, right? It's going to be licensable stuff to other games in the future. So it's a big undertaking from that particular aspect. I think people kind of maybe not know.
I think, no, I don't think it's a maybe. I think that there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. And maybe to this lends back to the point about the transparency. I think, like in the beginning, a lot of us didn't understand the dynamic of building a studio. A lot of us didn't understand the dynamic of how much time they were spending creating tools and why that was important, right? And so there felt in the very beginning like, well, what are they doing? Where are we? We also didn't hear about the failures that much. It took a lot for us to find out about bad decision making. Those of us who were around back in the day remember when there were a lot of areas that were subcontracted out to many companies, and CIG ended up having to reel all that in. You remember the issue with Star Marine? They had to redo the whole thing and do it in house. There's a lot of things that happened, and I know CIG in some ways has told us about some things, but I also believe that they didn't. And I don't want to say this the wrong way. You guys are in software. All three of you guys are in software. But for somebody like me who all I knew was coding, but I wasn't into the software business, I needed some hand holding with going through what it meant to develop a game. I'm kind of learning it from the school of hard knocks, and maybe CIG should have done a better job, because most gamers are backseat developers. A lot of them are, right? They think they know how games are supposed to go based upon them watching COD and other stuff come out, and they have no real idea of what it takes to develop and create a video game. So right. I do wish that in some ways there was better communication to let us know, especially in those early years, because there was a lot of news that just didn't register with me. I feel like I have a better understanding now, but I will admit the first 3 or 4 years, man, I didn't have the depth of understanding of, how much it was going to take to build from a studio of what was 5 or 6 people in the beginning, and why they had 5 studios around the world sounded great, but I didn't understand what that dynamic meant, so that's just me. Let's move on to the next subject, guys, because I want to beat this horse to death. And chat, you guys, we are watching you guys. You guys have got a lot of good stuff going on in the chat. I'm glad you guys are sharing. Let's move on to we talked about what Boasters can do. It would legitimately do. Well, let me ask that real quick. What can Boasters do legitimately? And I'm saying legitimately. Okay, not what do they do, but what can Boasters, people who are proud about this game, what is it they can do?
Well, they're the advocates. They're the people who are speaking the loudest, sending a message out that this game exists and you should come check it out and try it and give it a chance, right? So they're the other spectrum of your naysayers that it's a scam and it's never going to work. And So you need those to balance out the other half that are causing all the angst and the big vocals that'll never happen.
Okay. Gomab, Rob, you guys got anything? You say balance? Is that what you said, Gomab? Balance?
That's it. That's what they provide. That's all they had, right? Because you're going to have people that are going to just be like, hey, right? So in order, you got to balance those guys out. Otherwise, those haters are just going to be the loudest choir out there. So you got to have the boasters. Unfortunately, hopefully, you know, CIG is able to hear the people in the middle like us that appreciate what they do on one hand, but say, hey guys, seriously, pull your head out of your pants and get it together.
Robert, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
A little bit different spin on this about what can boasters do. Because we talked about the way people react, right? My answer was going to be that they be honest, you know, because it's one thing to talk about how great the game is, but you also have to be honest about how the game is too, because you can end up finding yourself overselling things. One of the reasons why I never really invited people to play Star Citizen and sign up for it was because I knew that most of the people I would talk to that were gamers would probably become very frustrated with the whole idea of bugs, testing, ships falling through your ship. So I never really would invite people. Even when Free Flies came out, there were very few people I actually told. And then when I did tell them, I made sure that I didn't just say, hey, this is a beautiful game, it's great to show on my screen, but I told them, hey, this is what you may run into. I was being honest with them. And those people are still playing, right? They're still playing, the people who I invited in. But Robert, what are some things you think that people that who do feel positive that they can do that's legitimate around the game?
That's a tough question. Because if you're honest with the game, with a lot of people, they have no interest in being alpha testers for some game company that's making millions of dollars. So that's a hard sell to some people. And when you have that when you're dealing with that white knight mentality, it's just, you know, there are no issues. And the person that's on that white horse is saying nothing but positive. And that is, it doesn't really work with folks who are more realistic. Like if in selling Cyberpunk, you know, if same scenario, you know, I'm saying, oh, Cyberpunk is great, you need to jump on, you need to play this game, it's wonderful, and then they get on and play it, and it's nowhere near what I described. You know, I think that the white knights do less good than they do, and the other side of that coin, I would say, would be neutral, because it doesn't paint a realistic picture of what we're actually dealing with.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's go.
I think if you've been around long enough, and you're a white knight, you've been done a disservice. So think back, if you ever were a white knight for even a minute, when you could sit a friend down, walk into your hangar, put a ship in there, and it looked great, and you were walking around the hangar and you were talking about how you, right, all those things, and that worked flawlessly. And from that point on, it all starts going downhill. Now I bring up a hangar, it's way bigger, but all the ships are sparking and on fire before you even get in them. People are looking at you like, what are you showing me? Oh, it's a bug.
Vanguard spawns on its head. Like, what's going on there?
And bouncing around, and then you start talking physics. Oh, the real physics. And they're like, what are you talking about?
All right.
So it started out, and, you know, we just lost that bubble.
Lost that bubble. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. On that point, we will move on from the Boasters gang. Let's go to balkers. All right. What is a balker? A balker is someone unwilling to do something or to allow something to happen. I'm going to repeat that. A balker is someone who is unwilling to do something or to allow something to happen. This would be like the category when I said that there are some people who says, I'm not testing this game, blah, 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 blah. You know, that I'm not doing all that. They're unwilling to do something, okay?
This would be like Griffin when you tell him and explain absolute facts about how bad Origin ships really are.
Oh, God, here we go.
Right, he just talks.
All
Here
right.
we go. Balk away.
All right. Balking. I know
Like a
I'm a
chicken.
balker. I agree. Buck. Okay. Balkers are sometimes fall into the category of what does it mean to be a salty citizen? All right. And salty is a slang term used for someone who's irritated, angry, resentful, especially as a result of losing or being slighted. Now, I'm going to put this in the perspective of the people who are irritated, angry, but they say that especially as a result of losing or being slighted. There are some people who feel that their demands, and I'm not, this is just in general because I've heard this is what people have said. I've paid $100 into this game. I've had for the last 4 years, and I have complained or I've said this, and they're not doing anything about it. They're whatever that thing is, and I'm not talking about like bugs and stuff. I'm talking about like I bought a Starfarer and fueling's still not in the game, right? I feel like I'm being slighted because I've spent this money, you put the ship in the game, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to be doing. In fact, there was a lawsuit that happened just a few months ago, or late 2021, where someone bought the what's the new RSI, the X-Wing ship called? The I forget the name of it now.
Scorpius.
The Scorpius. And the person bought the ship, and after they bought it, they found out that the ship wasn't coming out until first quarter of January, which most of us knew. Well, that person took them to court and said, oh no, I bought this ship because I saw the commercial and I thought that this thing was going to be in the game. And they ended up winning that case, weirdly enough, right? Even though all the small print is there about and they even said this is not out now, it's coming out later. But that person was Balker. They salty about it because they felt that they had paid their money, and I saw the commercial and it ain't there, and I feel like I'm being slighted because I put that money up and nothing's happened. Okay.
And thanks for the follow, Little Ball of Purr.
Appreciate yes, thank you, Little Ball of Purr. Thank you for that follow. Oh, and Dingo Valdovas, thank you for the follow as well. If we missed you, I'm so sorry about that. 8-9 minutes ago. Let's talk about that a little bit with those two definitions that I gave you guys. Somebody who's unwilling, the ones who stamp their foot and said, I'm not doing nothing with this game, it's not ready, blah blah blah. Or let's talk about the people who feel slighted because they feel like I've put a certain amount of money in, or blah blah blah. Let me go to Younique on this one first, and we'll work our way back through Robert, then Gomab.
I think if you've purchased anything in this game and played it for a while, for over 2 years, you've been through all of these. You feel a little salty in certain things, like, hey, I haven't got my little R2-D2 robot that I kind of was sold early back in the day in the game, and yeah, it'll come later. The refueling, the what is it? Skimming
Scavenging.
clouds and pulling in fuel so you can refuel stuff. We had a taste of refueling. You could go to a space station and refuel. So in most people's mind, that's not a great leap to get it to be my ship, right? If I can go to a space station, I got a big ship. You can come dock with it, but none of the rest of the mechanics are there for that. So yeah, it's easy to be salty and slighted on certain things especially if you take it down to a ship and the game mechanic loops that aren't there, but the ship is in the game. Or some of the game mechanic loops are there, but the things that trigger them, like getting on the ship or filling up a certain type of cargo box or finding a certain person out in space, just isn't there. It's like, well, you got to find this person in the middle of this quest, but they're not in the game yet. So that whole line is dead.
Wow, we got somebody who just donated to us. I'm not sure who it was. I missed it. Whoever that was who donated to Patreon, thank you so much. We appreciate that. It didn't pop up in Twitch for some reason, but thank you. Shout out to you for that. Thank you.
You gonna give away that RSI ship of yours, or Origin ship?
You want me to give away a ship?
100 viewers.
I don't know if I have anything.
890 jump.
Oh yeah, 890 jump. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Robert, let's go to you. Any thoughts about the balkers? Those people who feel like they put the money up and this hasn't happened and I'm not doing anything. Any feedback?
I have I got frustrated within the last 4 or 5, 6 months. Mm-hmm. Not because of things that features that weren't there, that just hadn't been implemented yet. More so for things that were broken, that stayed broken. Mm-hmm. And I got tired of doing, and Younique said this before, I got tired of doing issue council submissions and voting up other people's stuff because it was just, stuff's just broken.
Mm-hmm.
And so I backed away from the game, and I didn't play for a while, cost me my Evocati, but that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I backed away from the game for a while. I think around 3:15, I came back, started looking around again, and found enough to keep me entertained long enough to sit and play for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
But still, there's things that are the things that are more concerning to me are the things that are broken, haven't been addressed, and there's nothing on the horizon that says it will be, because it's what we've allowed them to force us to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to come back and hit Rabah's list because he's got some good examples for us to take a look at, things that have been in issue council for quite a while. Gomab, what about you? Anything in particular in relation to Balkers? Yeah, I see that big old Lowry salt behind you. Why are you acting like you don't know what you want to say?
Here's the thing. All right. Like I said, it's the yin and the yang, and we'll talk about that later, right? You gotta have both. Anybody who is taking a position that is completely unmovable, I don't really have time for, though, right? If we can't have a discussion and be open-minded to move each other, then we just yelling at the wind at this point. That's not to say that the Balkers don't have good points a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is okay to be frustrated about this game, but make sure that frustration is aimed at the right place and people and persons. Like the person who pulled out their credit card to buy that ship. Let's make sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to be mad, be mad at both, right? You know what I'm saying? Start your post with, yeah, I did it, but I'm upset. You know what I'm saying? Take some ownership in this as well. Look, every dime I put into this game, I put into this game. That's on me. That's me being a big boy grown up. I'm no kid. I'm no child. It is my responsibility to do my research and understand what it is that I'm spending my money on. And I know the difference. My mama taught me the difference between marketing material and reality.
Okay, let me cut you off. But what how was I supposed to know that this was going to take 10 years? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here a little bit, because I could do all the research I want. I mean, you can do some research,
right.
But I'm just saying, where they told us, 2014, then it was 2015, and then to Robert's point, we'll get a beta in 2018, and it was 2020. I mean, I'm trying to do my research. I'm trying to pay attention to what's on Inside Star Citizen and Around the Verse and blah 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 blah. The frustration is there, right?
Yeah, and it's real and it's valid. But the elephant in the room, and we've talked about it and we've glossed over it.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Hey, thanks for the sub.
Thanks, Abdi.
The elephant in the room, and we've talked about it briefly. There are two distinct types of backers in this game. There are folks that came in excited about Squadron 42. And then there are folks that came in and said, oh man, I get to go in and fly a spaceship and do stuff, right? And it's a small system now, but it's going to expand, and I'll be at Nix and Pyro and trading and mining and salvage is coming and Death of a Spaceman and all these. Oh yeah. Squadron 42 is coming too. But man, dude, did y'all go to see Jumptown? Hey, how much money did you make in Nine Tails? There's a distinct separation, right? So the people that are saying it's taking 10 years are the people waiting on Squadron 42 because it ain't here. The people that are playing Star Citizen are saying it's taken a while for it to expand. We're still limited. Star Citizen is still limited, but we're still playing it. I'm still able to log in. When I get off the show, I might jump in and do some mining or do some. I can still. My money's just not sitting out there, and I'm not just hitting F5 waiting on a date from CIG. I can actually go experience what I've invested in.
All right, so let me stop you there, because I want to segue to Rabba here. And Rabba, bear with me here, because I want to lend a little bit more to what you're going to present. Rabba's done some breakdowns for us in relation to things that have been on the issue council over a period of time. He's got quite a few things. We're going to cut through them, but this is what I want to talk about. I want to mention this as in most of this stuff, and Rabba, tell me if I'm wrong, most of this stuff was pre them fixing the 30Ks, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't want us to look at the world from when after 30Ks were fixed, because these issues are still there, even with 30Ks being fixed, okay? So I want to lay that as the groundwork. And I want us to either amen or naysay, but Robert's going to go through the list of stuff. This is stuff that he did some hard research on. So he told me, Griff, it's not going to be subjective. I'm just bringing you what the facts are, okay? Is that right, Robert? That was the deal, okay? So why don't you go ahead and share?
Well, there's a few anecdotal ones, but for the most part, they came from the issue council.
Fine, fire away. Tell us where you at, where you starting, and let's go through them.
Okay. The issue council is broken down into four categories. Open, or items that have been open that are open for people to amen, say, yep, I'm experiencing the same problem, basically to verify that is in fact an issue. Other issues that have been verified that they term as under investigation. So on the back end, on the developer side, they're saying we're going to go verify ourselves that this is actually happening. The last category that I've got items for is confirmed, where they've done their back end investigation and said, oh, yep, this is what happens. And that's the largest segment of what I was able to come up with. Mm-hmm. And as I said, there's one other category that I'm going to term as anecdotal, that are items that I've encountered personally or been around others as they have encountered those in the first.
Okay.
So let's start with open items. These are the ones that have most recently been open on the issue council, of which there are 482 active items in the open category. Okay. The first one we'll talk about is ship components missing. You spawn your ship, or the ship is destroyed or whatever, and when you recall it and get the ship back, the component's missing. In some cases, you can go back to your home base and re-add the components from your inventory. But in most cases, those items are gone. And if you want them, you have to rebuy them again.
Excuse me real quick, Robert. Are these in an order of like voted, or are these just all in that list? I just want to know, so I know if these are based on priority or whether they're just all in that list.
All in the list. There's no priority associated with them. They're just in the category of open issue council items.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
All right. Next item that I came across or want to share is ship spawned under the hangar floor at New Babbage.
Wow.
Person called their ship out of from the kiosk, went down the elevator, got to the hangar. The ship, you couldn't see the ship, but you could see that the little icon told you that the ship is right here, but 48 feet down. And that was happening at New Babbage.
Mm-hmm. By the way, chat, if you guys know about any of these, put a yay or whatever in there if you've run into some of these. Go ahead.
These are open items that have been open within the last week.
Okay.
Well, they're still open, but people have been able to reproduce them.
There are people who have. I didn't include any that hadn't. That other people are not saying that they've experienced the same issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, and the last one of the open items is 30Ks back again, and the ship inventory not being preserved. In other words, you experience a 30K, and when you do get back into the game, you get your ship back, and your cargo, your items are not on the ship. And this is happening again. This is happening now.
Yeah, I got to put a yay in for that one too. You got some yays in the chat there. Yeah. A lot of people are seeing a lot of those ones you're mentioning. Okay.
Seems like a persistent thing to me.
Yeah, I know that shipping is a real pain when, you know, people will, because right now, because of inventory management, people are trying to stock their ships so that they're ready to go. You know, when they jump in them, their stuff's already there. And like you said, they come back and you got to do it all over again. You know, there's frustration, with the inventory. Okay.
All right, next category is under investigation. And there were 48 active issue console issues that were quote unquote under investigation. First one is ship not repairing. Person goes to a station or a new babbage or whatever, land the ship, request refuel, restock, repair. Mm-hmm. The other items happen, but the ship repair is not happening. They're getting charged for it, but it's not happening.
Got some yays coming in chat already. Yep. Okay.
All right. Next one, after landing, leaving the ship, it just blows up for no reason, sitting on the pad.
I've heard some people say that's happened to them before. They did absolutely nothing and the ship just exploded when they exited and they got killed in the blast.
Hey, that happened to me just before the show. I jumped out of 85X and they went boom, right on Everest pad.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Next item, crashing into a planet doing quantum travel if locked onto a friend.
Yes. And that's been around for a long time.
Exactly.
That's been around a long time. In fact, we had people this weekend, we were doing Jumptown and people were trying to jump to the person and they would put them through the planet. You know, their ship would be intact still, but they'd be underneath the surface. And then when they try to come up, if they hit something, kaboom. Yeah.
That happened to me. That actually happened to me yesterday. I went. Go ahead.
No, just in case anybody is trying to do this, my group has figured out a way to prevent this from happening. So this happens if you have to traverse over and around the moon or planet to get to your teammate. So if you go to the orbital marker where you can fly down to them, you can quantum to them. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, if you don't have to kind of go around the surface in order to get to them, you can do that. But so that is a workaround.
But this is a build. This used to happen with planets in general back in the day. It used to happen before, even when you would pick a city instead of a person. Your ship would turn directly toward the moon, and it would shoot you straight dead center. You know. Yeah. But again, this is that is still it's still somewhat of a similar type of bug that should have been fixed by now.
I just wanted to say that to help anybody who may be experiencing that and trying to do it. Yeah,
cool. And if you do end up under there, if you move just right and find the right opening in what you can see above you, you can just fly out. And that's what happened to me yesterday.
Yep. But if you hit a rock or something, it's over.
That's it. So you have to move slow. Mm-hmm. So if you do hit him, it may damage you, but it won't blow you up.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Okay, next category is confirmed. These are the ones that have been submitted, upvoted by other users in the community, and CIG has verified them on it through their testing, and they have deemed these as confirmed bugs. Landing at Lorville causes ship to be claimed.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh.
Really? What's that?
That was quick.
So what happens? You land and it just automatically snatches it up or something?
No. So if you land at Lorville, you land, you're fine. Right. You go there, you have to claim your ship.
Oh, it's in order to get it back. Retrieve it. You got to claim it.
You can't retrieve it.
Oh, wow. Okay, everybody's saying yep in the chat again. Okay.
Unable to sell scrap at any shipyard, at any scrapyard. That's
I heard about that one.
Yeah, that's been acknowledged, and that's that people who do that, but it's eating into their credit income.
Okay, wow.
Bounties don't spawn, and that's been around for quite a while. You go out, you accept a bounty, you go out, you fly, you may even get some of his minions, but the actual target doesn't spawn in any realistic amount of time that is feasible.
That's gotten a lot better.
Is it? But it's still a problem though, because I know that some people say they'll sit and wait on the bounty, and they're sitting there because they think sometimes it works. It pops up, and other times they're sitting there waiting, thinking it might pop up, and it never does.
Right.
Okay.
And I had it happen to me just the other day, the day before yesterday, I think.
Okay. By the way, excuse me one second. We want to give a shout out to Buster the Destroyers here. Y'all wish Buster a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Buster. Thanks for swinging.
Happy birthday, Buster.
Thank you, Buster. Okay, go ahead, Rabba.
All right, and the last one in the confirmed category that I pulled was, and it says Argo mode not scanning, and what it means is, what it's talking about is when you're in an asteroid field, you come across, you scan for your radar scan, and it highlights the items that asteroids that you should be able to scan.
Mm-hmm.
You run up, you drive over to it, and you get there, and nothing happens. You can get no information on the rock.
I can tell you now that ain't just the mole. That's Prospector 2, same thing.
Right.
You get the scan, it says you can go there, you get up on it, and nothing. And some people try to tell me there was a weird workaround for it, but I've tried everything. Shut the laser off, get it. It still comes up as empty, nothing there, and that's frustrating. I went out one day, Rabba, and literally spent an hour and a half, and I was so frustrated because I was hitting all these rocks. They were saying go to them. I'm flying all over. And I'm just in mine. That's all I want to do is just mine. And that whole night was a bust. It was just because I got frustrated with just empty rocks everywhere, which would suck.
And as I said, it's listed as an Argo mode, not scanning.
Mm-hmm.
But I started mining day one with the Prospector, and mining on planets, mining rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The rocks wouldn't scan, and this goes back as long as we've had scanning, as long as we've had mining. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's bad in the belt. It's really bad in the belt.
Yeah, so this is
another one scanning.
Yeah,
and this is another one that's been around a long time that they've just kind of, and this is recently confirmed, even though this bug has been around for as long as mining has.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the last few I've got are anecdotal bugs that I've either seen happen to somebody or I've had to deal with myself. And the first one is player death results in a corpse being, when you get that corpse pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was in the middle of the star.
Yeah. People have talked about their corpse being out in space, in the star, every place else. They want to go back and retrieve their stuff, and they look up and it's like way out and it's 50 billion kilometers away.
Yeah, and there's no way to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law was in the middle of the sun for some reason.
Right. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. We got some more guesses.
Landing at Lorville with cargo in the ship results in even though you have permission, you land where they tell you to land. While you're going off to conduct your business, it tells you that you're blocking an active space lane, and the ship gets impounded.
Wow, I ain't seen that.
Yeah.
One. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had it happen to me two consecutive trips to Lorville.
Okay.
Can't holster your FPS weapon. You're standing there with your handgun or rifle or whatever, and for whatever reason, once you put it in your hands, you can't holster it again.
Mm. Yeah, that's
even worse when you can't pull it out, or it pulls out and it puts it right back.
It puts it back. Yeah.
Pull it right back.
All right, and the one that popped up yesterday, but has been around for a while, according to Issue Council, and I saw it yesterday, but it's been around a while, according to the Issue Council, is anti-cheat error when launching Star Citizen after the latest update.
Yeah, that was funny because I know for me, I got the first error on it. I logged out, I verified, I went in. There were some other people I was playing with. They said it took them like 8, 9, 10 times before they were finally able to get it to work. And I don't know what was so different, but there were several people who had to do several attempts before they were able to get back in after that patch. They were hot fixing like crazy, but it's still, that problem was still there.
Yeah, multiple workarounds. You change the permissions, the firewall permissions on this direct. No, to be open or to be conserved or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I got out. I tried it a couple times. Went out, verified files, and I was able to get in.
Yeah. Younique, let me go from where Robert, thank you for pulling those together because I want to talk about those. How do you see that impacting players, right? I mean, is it frustration? Is it the fact that it, first of all, a lot of those things he talked about is how we actually, even though there's no economy, it's how we make our money in the game. It's how we keep moving forward. It's how we make our ships better. It's how we buy ships in game even. What happens when these things continue to exist? Do you think that they become real blockers for players?
Yeah, absolutely. It leads you to believe that you're on some game loop that doesn't exist. you know. So that's the problem. It seems like you're in a game loop, but you're really not. You know, it doesn't work well enough. I've not seen any of the game loops work well enough to not get frustrated playing the game.
Yeah. Gomab, some of the ones that he mentioned have been around a long time. Some of them, like maybe a few people said amen to, but there were a lot of them that everybody seems like they've experienced in some form. You know, the FPS weapon one, right? I mean, we've seen that. The quantuming into the planet thing, right? You know, do you think, and I do know, I do understand that there is, you know, someone said this earlier about how CIG, there's some things that they put on the back burner because they know that they're going to do a major update or something major has to change in the game so that they don't find themselves fixing things over and over. But at the same time, how do we prioritize these things and say, hey, CIG, like 30Ks. When 30Ks got fixed, it changed the whole feel of going into the game. You felt like now I can play it and my time's not wasted, right? Some of the things that Rabbah mentioned are probably in that same category. My time isn't, well, you know, if I spent, I'm gonna tell you, I have spent 2 hours just stocking up my ships in my home base, right? If I spend those 2 hours doing that and getting them stocked, and I come back the next day ready to play, and I bring my ship out and all my inventory's gone, right? That is frustrating.
I bet you won't do it again.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. But at this, and don't get me wrong, when inventory first came out, I get it. You know, first iteration, tier 1, tier 0, I get it. But some of the things like he's mentioning are things that have been around for a long time, right?
Hey, 90% of the people flying around in fighter jets right now or fighter planes that are engaging in high risk activities. I guarantee if you can look at the cockpit of what they're wearing is a white undersuit and a white helmet. And they're wearing that one, the base one. They're not pulling out anything.
Yeah, but doesn't that inhibit me as a player? I mean, don't get me wrong. I've bought all this stuff. I've bought what do they call those things? The flare. All of a sudden, I don't even want to use it. Because
it ain't ready yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but I got all this stuff. My inventory looks beautiful, right? It's all in 3D colors. I can rotate around and look at it, but I leave it on my home planet because I'm too spooked about taking anything.
We're still tier 0, right? And here's the thing, and I hate that, right? You know, there's so many layered systems, and just like what Younique said earlier, they know a lot of this stuff is happening, right? But hey, yeah, we can fix you slamming into the planet. There's a workaround. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, jump to the OM marker before you jump down to your players. It'll all be fixed when we do XYZ, which is coming down later. Now, we could either fork those efforts to go fix this specifically, because there was a time where it didn't happen, and there was a time when it was much worse. Right,
I can't believe I'm about to be the one to argue with you about this, because you sound like you're on my side of the fence on this.
No. What I'm saying is, all right. So some of
the stuff is quality of life. I'm saying to make me as a backer play better and to be able to test out stuff and do stuff, but I can't do it because we still quantuming into the planet. 4 years later.
Well, what I'm saying is, if there's a lot of stuff that's broken, that I wonder if we can go through Rabbah's list and put a checkbox next to what's going to be fixed with server meshing, right? Yeah. What's going to be fixed? What's going to be fixed with Quanta, right? What's going to be fixed with all the features that are coming down the road? You could just take those off because they're not going to go fix those.
Right.
Right.
They're not going to go fix those because they're looking to be resolved in large feature updates.
But here's the thing, and I agree with you completely. But here's the thing: they have a set of users that the Evocati who are under NDA. You know, when whatever you're dealing with while you're in the Evocati portion of the testing, you're not supposed to talk about it. And those are the people, and those people report a lot of errors, a lot of bugs, because they're the first layer outside of CIG to get to test the new code. They could tell the Evocati at least. Well, these page bugs, we're not going to worry about trying to fix those because they're going to be fixed in this next major feature update. All that code's going to be replaced. And that would be something
I guarantee you, Rabba, if you went and looked at your list, if you have 15 items on your list right now, and you looked at your list from a lens of what's coming as far as future roadmap, at least half of those things will go away.
Yeah, but Rabba's point is he's not arguing that point. He's just saying, and I understand what he's saying. Even the Evocati who are under NDA, listen, hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we may not know it as backers, but even if Evocati understood that, then they understand where the focus is. It's to say, hey,
thanks, Risk 2175.
Yeah,
for the
Risk,
sub.
thank you for the resub. He's saying that if they would say, listen, in 3.18, we're going to be addressing this. Okay, we get it.
Yep.
That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying. And it
and
doesn't even
that
happen
goes
at
back
the
to the
Evocati
communication
level.
thing.
But right, it doesn't even happen at the Evocati level who are under NDA. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying the backers got to even know that, but he's saying I'm sure there's some frustration for people who aren't Evocati who don't even get that level of information. Just saying, hey, it's gonna be tackled when meshing comes out or whatever. And I mean, let's be
real. Let's be real here. Evocati are still backers, right? They're still us.
Yep.
They just do a really good job of putting stuff in the issue council. Right? They put in a lot of cases. They've been thoughtful about it, and so they've been rewarded with more access to things before a lot of us are able to, because CIG knows that they'll put in the time and effort to report the bugs.
Right.
They are not on staff. They are not developers. They are not privy to things that have not been released to the public outside of what's been released to Evocati that they want them to test specifically.
Yeah, but they do get information.
They get some information.
Right. They get some info from the devs, and they talk with the devs directly.
But they're not going to know when server messaging is going to drop.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, again, this goes back to, I think that the Evocati people are intelligent enough to realize that things can change, right? That they may say 3.18. I think we're just saying, how do you communicate in a better way? If it doesn't happen in 3.18, then tell them. We thought we were going to get it in 3.18. It's going to be 3.19. We're just saying that there's no communication.
Why tell them? They can't tell us. They're on the NDA. Why tell them?
Well, they're Evocati. I'm just saying,
but why tell them?
Because of where their focus is.
How would that help the community by telling them?
It doesn't help the community. It helps them for their work. Because if they know that something is going to be addressed later, they don't have to worry about it as an issue anymore. They can focus on even though they're told what to focus on when they go in anyway.
Read what Jay just said.
What did Jay say?
First thing that they learn in Evocati is that things can change. Right. They are Evocati is given let's say, hey, we need you to test these things. Right. None of that, hey, yes, you got bugs and stuff. Their job is to report the bugs, to understand why the bugs are there or when the bugs are going to be fixed. Right. The only reason why we care about bugs is because we're actually playing the stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about us. But I'm not talking about us. I'm really keeping this limited to Evocati. I get what you're saying. It doesn't benefit the community if they know about it. I get it. I'm just trying to say for the people who are on that side. Listen, I'm going to get Younique in, and we're going to take a breather break because we got to do this video. Y'all having all this good conversation. Go ahead, Younique, and then we're going to do the video.
I just want to ask you all one question real quick. If everything Rabbah has on that list and then double it without even knowing what they are, if all of those things were magically fixed, do you think your playability of the game, as far as being able to complete game loops, would be working?
Absolutely.
Quite a few of them. Yes.
Which game loop?
Let's see. We can start with mining.
Yeah, mining in the inventory one's for me.
The selling of scrap, because like I said, there's a segment of people, that's what they want to do for a living. Bounty hunting.
Selling of scrap is not a game loop. That's just
okay.
Bounty hunting. It's still trade. So, yeah.
Bounty hunting. There is no trade.
Bounty hunting.
There's trade in the game.
Working as it's supposed to. You maybe say in Jumptown, you need to go. You go do some fighting, and then you go repair your ship and go get back in the fight. Well, if you can't repair your ship.
Let me explain something about inevitability. All right. So, yeah, exactly. that stuff isn't actually how it will happen. So, if you were to solve cancer today, how many years do you think your life would go on average, for the human that we solved cancer? I can tell you the math is tough, but it works out to be exactly 3 years. If you were to solve heart disease, you would gain 3 years. Here's the funny thing. If you solved them both, you'd only get 7 years. Okay? You want to know why that is, and it's only that amount of time you get extra? It's because it's the next thing on the list that kills you. The reason that you're seeing other bugs now is because we actually solved 30K for the most part. 30Ks were blocking other bugs. So you might solve the spawning of the bounty and kill him. And as soon as you kill him, your ship explodes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, right?
Or where you turn it in, that kiosk doesn't work.
There's always going to be
the next bug just starts showing up.
There's always going to be something.
And it was blocked because you couldn't get to it. The fallacy that it's magically perfect doesn't happen.
I don't think that it would be perfect, and you're absolutely right.
No, I'm just saying you won't be able to complete any of the game loops you think you were going to be. Not one of them.
But give me the opportunity. At least
you have the opportunity. You're just at the bug that they're allowing you to have right now.
Right.
Yeah,
so
but these bugs have been around a long time. How long, Rob, were some of these bugs around? How far back do you remember? How far back?
Mining. When did mining start?
I agree. I'm just letting you know that you'll hit another bug. That's all.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. But having this list, for example, just these items on this list.
Yeah.
If they fix the scanning bug on mining, at least I can see that's fixed, and I can go on to the next thing.
People are making tons of money on mining. Here's the thing: the scanning bug on mining is annoying as hell. Sorry for my language, but it's annoying, right? When you're flying around and you're scanning and scanning and you can't find nothing, it's annoying. But then you log out or you go to hop servers and you fly around, you scan, you find you might maybe get 3-4 prospector or mole loads and get a few $1 million. So the game loop is able to be completed. It's just annoying sometimes, right?
Yeah.
All of these. Is anybody out there with me that Gomab is explaining a job and not a game?
Well, it's an alpha.
My problem.
All right. First things first. Nobody here purchased a game that they're playing. You didn't.
Right.
There's no game that's been purchased for you to play. Right. You are testing. You are a alpha tester of.
Hang on. Whoa. Let's go all the way back to 2012. I submitted money for a game called Squadron 42. It's all you other dumbasses when you purchased a ship that thought you were buying into a game.
Right.
So, Star Citizen. If you bought a ship, you're playing Star Citizen.
Yeah,
okay? I gave $40
testers
for Squadron 42.
Yeah, and you will get that.
I don't have an alpha test.
Yeah. You will get that. You'll get that.
Let's just say this as play testers, right?
Yeah.
The issue isn't that there are bugs. I think that with Robert, that's why Robert went back to pull things that he was saying have been on the boards for quite a while. He mentioned there were some things that were recent, but I think it's the issue about those things that have, we've allowed 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to go by. And not only that they were not fixed, but there has been no response to the community about why these things still persist. And there may be a very clear reason. We're saying, hey, if flying into a planet is still an issue, it's an issue because that's what we're saying doesn't happen. All we know is that it's an issue. It's an issue that's been around for a while, and we keep saying, how come they haven't? The response is, why haven't they fixed that? I had my ship filled up with Quantanium. I was on my way back, and my ship blew up, and I spent 3 hours out there doing it. That's the frustration that people feel because they don't feel like there's nothing there to help.
Crazy frustrating. Yeah. It is crazy frustrating, and to me, part of the fun, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but part of the fun in this game is just finding a way around these challenges in order to be able to complete my game loop.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We all learn workarounds. We learn to work around. I mean, I get that, right? Again, it's about the time frame, not the bug. That's why I just want to emphasize that it's about the time frame. Okay, listen, Robert took a break. We are going to take a break too, because we put this video here just to put us all back in a good mood. So we have a new video that we have been fortunate to premiere. By the way, thank you guys so much for the chat. We have been reading what you guys have been putting in. You guys are putting in some really interesting stuff. We are going to.
I can't read.
You can't read? Okay. We're going to show the premiere of New Soul's new video that they put together with several people from the community You guys will recognize some voices and some names, so listen closely, because there's some people you probably have never heard before. They are in this new video that they put out called Jumptown 2.0. We played the song at the beginning for the show when we got started, but we want to put this out here for you guys. Now, Rice, thank you again for that resub. We appreciate that, especially for the one that you gave to Buster earlier. I think you usually gave it to Buster. We got a couple of viewer questions that have come in as well. So let's take a look at this this video, and then we will be back. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope the screen changes. Ooh.
Advocates, the adversaries. New soul, drop a beat on them.
Jumptown 2.0.
How can I explain it? I think you play my family. You have your Jumptown yet, we jumping it. U is for United, E is for Earth, for what it's worth. The last E is but for sure there's no dearth. Hey, another way to call an organization a corporation. There's 6 little letters that I'm missing here. You get on the page and at the end of the party at the game and it. You never gotta give an explanation. Watch it.
The UEE. The UEE. The UEE. Who's the UEE? The UEE. The UEE. The UEE. Who's the UEE? Straight out of Hades.
Get mine. Take him out like strychnine. Lay bodies down like recline. I'm big dog, you feline. And she said, get him, so we back. Got Dockers up front and the brr in the back. My credits feel lotions, but I do it for the creams and the lotions. Load up, then we space ghosting. All your bases all belong to us. We locked down with a drop down, prepare to kill thrust. Dig with 32 on the hip, single action salvo. Got your body on drip. We take it what is offered, throw it in the coffers. Leave a meal on the floor, and you never catch me, copper. And we grabbing the loot, say by the you, chucking the dudes. Boss.
The UEE. The UEE. The UEE. Who's the UEE? Straight out of Hades. The UEE. The UEE. The UEE. Who's the UEE? Straight out of Hades.
So I pull up in that MSR, feeling real iffy. S71 loaded for anything, trying to test me. 2948 on my mind, I'm on my grind. Widow in the bay, getting nervous, show pops his ride. Pull up to the Grim Hats, guess who shows up? UEE, flashing lights, I'm about to blow up. Thinking this was a setup, see? I turn a pop show, I ain't going out like this, G. Here over the intercom. Now I'm getting nervous, yo. Who was the snitch? They about to send me the clutch. I ain't gonna be nobody. Flip on their radar. Cock back, my fist, I had that SE and stars. UEE, I put your life on pause. This is my Jumptown, not yours. Bounce.
Loose soul up in the house.
Real mother.
FC up in the house. The machine up in the house. Big Dad up in the house. Who up next? Oh, it's Buster. Go ahead, girl.
The Jumptown Wars, they weren't about preventing or aiding drug trade. They were about chaos and the hunt itself. To hell with law and order. Sometimes you just wanted to shoot those foolish enough to ask across comms, GT safe?
Is Jumptown safe?
Take them home, Pops. Let's go.
People looking for escape. Stay in their veins. With what is named. Oh yeah, widow. People looking for escape. Stay in their veins. With what is named. Oh yeah, widow.
Jumptown 2.0.
Alrighty. I hope you guys enjoyed that wonderful tasty treat that came in from New Soul. Gomab, does it get your vote?
Man, I was jamming over here, man. You see the sweat on my brow? I was over here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Robert, did they get your vote? Was it all right?
What was that?
I said, did you get your vote? Was that song all right? It's all right. Thumbs up.
Two
Younique.
thumbs up.
All right. Younique, did you dig it?
Yeah, I dig it pretty good. Watching the user count, we hit 101 while it was happening, so we need to give away that 890 jump. Hold them to it, people.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Maybe we will one day. I've got one in my buybacks. Maybe we'll do that.
Oh, Younique, we got a maybe.
One of these days. One of these days.
You gotta keep asking.
Yeah, we're going to have a serious goal. We got to have a serious goal to do that one, but maybe we will one day. We do have
2K followers. Let's do it.
Oh God,
big giveaway, big charity thing.
Well, listen, we're going to finish up our show. We've got a couple more questions we're going to present to the guys to get their feelings on, because I know we're running a little long tonight, but we had really, really good conversation from what we're sharing. We really appreciate our special guest, Rabbah, coming on tonight and doing the research for us to discuss those critical things that are important to the players of Star Citizen. Let me
know if you want me to come back.
Oh, no, we're going to have you back for sure. Absolutely. Let's toss out a couple questions to them real quick. One of them I want to ask is this. Who should not be a backer of Star Citizen? Is that a fair question? Are there some people that just, like I told you, there's some people I haven't even told to try to play this game. You know what I mean? Who are the people that you think should be backing it, and what type of player, or, just leave it to the wind? Let me start with Rabbah on this, and I'll hit Younique, then Gomab.
It takes somebody that at least understands that this is not a release game, that we are testing a game while it's being developed. And if they can't come to terms with that, they don't need to be a backer.
And the church said amen.
Okay. Hey, we got Gigi out there tonight. She's dropped in on us. Everybody say hi to Gigi.
How you doing?
All right. Younique, you got an amen from Gomab over there. You are along the same lines with what Rabbah said about the type of person that should be backing this?
Oh, it's really simple. If you don't even know what alpha software is, you shouldn't be backing this game. Most people hear about the betas coming out, and it's a closed beta, and they're drooling about that particular thing. They don't even understand the pre-alpha, alpha, the whole stages that you go through to even get into beta. So they shouldn't be backing.
Yeah. I think beta and early access has kind of got people thinking a certain way. So when you start talking alpha, like you said, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, they think beta is like 6 months away.
Yeah.
Not years away.
Yeah. Now here's the hard question I'm gonna present.
I got some people that should not be backing.
Okay, go ahead.
I got some people that should not be backing.
Okay.
If you ain't got a real computer, don't back this game.
What do you define as a real computer? Let me ask you that. What do we define as that?
If you gotta ask me what a real computer is, don't back this game.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. Number two. If money's tight, don't back this game. If you are not a gamer / problem solver / engineer at heart and just want to, like get in and figure stuff out, and you enjoy learning and growing with a community and a project, and you just want to get in and just play something and be promised an experience, don't back this game. Play something else. No Man's Sky is real cool. I love it. It's a fantastic game. Go play that. I think you'll love it.
Okay.
You were on a roll right there. I think you're high. So you gotta stop.
Okay. Well,
juicing the juice.
No. I'll put mine in. I think the point that everybody made good points. Understanding what an alpha is. Understanding the fact that this game has high technical demands. If you really want to enjoy it, you can play with the low-end computer, but you're not going to enjoy the experience by any means. Having understanding of what an alpha game is, and also keeping your expectations in check. Because I think that there are people who get impressed with the commercials or the trailers or the ships, and they honestly think, which is understandable. You see the ship on this commercial for the 600i, and it looks great, and then you get in it and the elevator doesn't work. You know, something's going on with that. You know, people associate the money that they spend to something that is functional and working. And if they don't understand what it means to be an alpha state, then it can bring a lot of frustration and a lot of disappointment. I want to run this last question past the guys. This last week, Massively Overpowered put out an article, and the title of it was, because of the vague patch notes that we just got recently, Star Citizen is not going to live up to your dreams. That was the title of the article. Star Citizen is not going to live up to your dreams. And my question to the panel tonight is, will Star Citizen deliver? And I'm not talking about it coming out. You can talk about that if you want, but I'm talking about, there were a lot of things that were said that Star Citizen will be. Some stuff people have made up that Star Citizen ain't true, but I know you guys know pretty much a lot of the things that Chris Roberts has outlined that he would like to see happen in the game. There's a couple of great videos out right now that both Ray's Guide put out and I think Noobifier put out. They're both about talking about this issue of everybody being on one shard. And they talk about the technical difficulty of that on a global level. You guys get a chance to check out those videos, look at them. And CIG has told us that they're trying to progress from having multiples to eventually, you know, cutting down more and more, moving toward that if they can. My question to you is, if CIG cannot deliver a one shard situation where everybody's on a global shard together simultaneously handling everything, is that going to be a deal breaker for you? Is it going to be like well, they tried, you know? And I want to ask you, can CIG deliver? Those are the things I'm talking about. Those things that you've heard that CIG wants to do. And what percentage do you want to rate that number at? Do you want to say, I think they'll deliver 80% of what they said, 90% of what they said, 50% of what they said? Let me start out with Gomab, then Rabbah, and then Younique.
Well, you know, not having that one server, one shard really destroyed World of Warcraft when it came out all those years ago. Oh, wait.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Thank you for the resub. Thank you.
Hey, thanks. No, I mean, all right. Firstly, the mass that article and articles like it. If I got it in a newspaper, like, or an actual paper form, and that, and it wasn't on the internet, it'd probably end up in my sewer system with something on it. It's written by people. It's written by people that don't play, don't know.
Yeah.
But they want clicks.
But here, you know, we already know about Massively and all the periodicals. I'm not trying to lend any credence to them. What I am addressing, what is their question? Do you believe, because your answer could be they're full of it, yeah, they will deliver. And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you think, and at what percentage do you think that they can, and you know all the things that are promised, server meshing, the Vulcan, you know, all these different things that are supposed to happen, 50 systems.
All those things, server meshing, Vulcan, all the technology-based thing is just somebody figuring out the code and getting it in, right? That stuff will come. That's 100%, right? That's, you know, if we're talking the North Star is a global shard, I don't think that should be the North Star. But if that's the North Star, then maybe 75%. I think there's physics that come into play that cause challenges with that. I don't think that's the right direction for us to go. Regional shards should be a thing for me, but hey, who am I? What about it all? Well, you know, but no, I don't look to those guys to tell me or help me decide whether or not I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. I think there are going to be things that are going to come in and happen that I'm not going to agree with. In the meanwhile, there's going to be stuff that I would love for them to focus on, or stuff that I would love for them to change as they go down this path. But do I think they're going to actually put it out and it's going to be something I'm going to love? Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't have spent thousands of dollars on it if I didn't.
Okay. Fair enough. Rabbah, let's get your estimate, man. What percentage do you think they'll be able to deliver?
Well, since Gomab has spent thousands of dollars, I'm gonna be hitting him up after this, after we get out for a loan or a grant. That's it, a grant. That's what I'm gonna be after.
Are you gonna be a back? I mean, will you be a backer?
Yeah, back Rabbah. All right. I don't think Star Citizen will be what is initially released as Star Citizen will be the final product. We'll get a release of Star Citizen that has 60% of what's been promised.
Okay.
And they'll have a roadmap of when those other items are going to be delivered. And since they'll just be focusing primarily on Star Citizen, they'll actually have a chance to do it. There are going to be multiple iterations, multiple versions. As they roll out more content, they're going to add more capabilities.
And build.
So in my opinion, that affords them a much greater chance of being successful.
Okay.
But however, I watched a video with, and I can't remember whose video it was, a week or so ago, that talked around the physics of global server meshing. And based on that information and my limited knowledge of physics but what was in there was within my understanding, server meshing globally, having a two fleet battle with hundreds of ships, I don't think they'll get there. I don't think that's physics will prevent them from delivering that.
And that's part of what's been delivered. To your point, thank you, Rob. Rob Ray's guide and Nubifire talk about the speed of light and how things move in time.
Right.
And that's really the issue. It's not about a technical issue. It literally is a physics issue. And people are saying if it's going to happen, unless somebody can pull a rabbit out of their hat and work around that, they see it very difficult. To your point, GoMob, what they do say is regional, yes, can be achieved. But the global one, we'll have to see what happens with that. Younique?
So,
sorry.
Like the articles that were written, they're absolutely true. You're not going to get what you think in your mind you're going to get. Here's what you are going to get. Exactly what you pay for. You're going to get what's in Chris Roberts' mind. That's the game he's going to release. Now, all these extra reaching technologies, you have to reach for some things in order to figure out how far you can push. You know, so if they're pushing for global, but they can get regional, the regional will be better because they went after and got beat down by global. Okay. And who knows, maybe there's some sort of magic out there. I mean, they've only got Amazon back in, so you don't know, right? I'm sure that Amazon is not hands off in that back end. They're not hands off on the graphics engine. So they've got some of the best computing network and hardware engineers available in a cloud-oriented platform. So if it's possible at all, that combination will most likely pull it off.
As difficult as it is and may be, it would be pioneering and amazing, because it would, if there's anybody who can do it or try to do it, these are one of the groups that could possibly try to make it happen. It's right. I don't know how they're going to do it, if they'll be able to do it, but if they work out something that allows even something close to that, because they've talked about the fact that they could do it globally for a certain level of gameplay, but where you would lose out would be in the FPS areas and other areas. That would be where the failure would come in.
Right.
So we'll see. You know, time will tell. I'm going to speed up a little bit here, gang, because we got some viewer questions. If you guys are good. Is he about to fall out? Is he about to fall out? Don't start.
I do want to say one thing.
Go ahead. We got questions, so go ahead. Yours.
Even with regional shards, you will have, if server meshing does come to fruition as dynamic server meshing, you will have those massive battles. There's a lot of people in North America, right? We cannot look at this from the perspective of the people that are playing in alpha that have backed the game before it is actually released, right? Imagine that the amount of people that will end up coming into this game at release will be on an order of magnitude that we have never even imagined, because this game is going to be so far ahead of every other game that's ever been released before it, right? So yes, you will if they're able to get dynamic server meshing to the point where one javelin is a server, right?
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To that point, if they're able to get that, which I do believe they'll be able to figure that out by the time we get there, or at least by a couple patches after release, you will have those massive fleet battles happening, even if you have regional shards. That's it.
Yeah. And again, that's what I said, regional, they believe can be done. but the global is the challenge. Those of you who played Eve know that Eve's way of working around it is time dilation that they've been able to do, but there's nowhere near the amount of stuff going on in Eve that goes on in Star Citizen. And to your point, if that population grows of people who are playing, it's going to be more than a monstrosity. Let's get to the questions real quick. Question number one we've got is, what is your opinion on the bug that I can't drop or place an item? Now that bug has been, for some people have had that bug and some people haven't. Have you guys had that bug where you have Gomab? Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. I believe all that bug, the bug from being able to pull out your FPS weapon, the bug of not being able to store your FPS weapon. I've had situations where my FPS weapon has still been in my hand while I'm flying my ship. Those are all interrelated to server state and server ticks and all those things. Mm-hmm. Hopefully those things will kind of be taken care of when server mission comes, when the replication layer becomes a thing.
Okay. Rob, I'm gonna throw this one at you. What's your opinion on the HUD of the ship that we haven't been able to change the colors? You know, people have been complaining for the longest time about that light blue. If you're facing a moon or planet, sometimes you can't even see it. And they told us they were eventually going to, like, I know they tried to put some drop shadow on it, but it doesn't seem like it's really helped out at all with that as people seeing it better.
I would, things like that, and added features and people doing their pie in the sky. I would like. I want Star Citizen to do this. I'd rather they focused on the things that are on the table to be delivered. The Squadron 42 and fixing the existing bugs in the game rather than going in, and tweaking
features,
UIs or adding other features to suit some segment of the community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for some people, that is an issue. In fact, I know one of our friends, he has an issue with seeing colors. And when things on the screen are red, for example, he cannot see them at all. But CIG has said that they were going to make it so that we could change colors. And so it inhibits his gameplay. But at the same time, you're right. There are some things in the game that are, they're what we call the quality of life things. But we've got other major things. I remember in Eve, we had some things in Eve that had been in the game for years that people complained about, but they were putting out DLCs every year, which was extremely frustrating. And Eve had been around for like 10 years at that point when I was playing, but that's a whole nother thing. Let me go to the next one. I can ask everybody this one. Well, no, I'll just go to one person because it'll take too long for everybody to answer. Younique, I'll hit you with this one. Devil's Advocate. This comes from Optimist Incorporated. I'm sorry I didn't mention the names of the other two people. Somebody's deleted my question, so I could not go back and answer who it was. Devil's Advocate, what would it take for you to give up on Star Citizen? Younique. And you've been in there the longest.
Another playable game. That's it.
What do you mean? What do you mean another playable game?
Another game that's not in alpha or beta.
You give up on Star Citizen completely?
That really
this ain't
comes
give up
and says, "Yeah, just all."
With all the investments you have, you've got a pretty substantial investment in this game.
I'll just give it to somebody who deserves it. I need a game that I can play, and
Soul Citizens giveaways.
So far, I really haven't found anything. I mean, it's like I'm done with Eve. I did 10 years in that. I'm done with WoW. I did 10 years of that. I'm looking for the next game. What's the next game that I can play for 10 years? That's all I'm looking for.
Colossal's doing his sell, y'all, on Mortal Online.
You don't listen to him. Colossal hasn't played it. He's only 8 years old himself. He played nothing for 10 years.
Yeah, why do you even mention him? Baby.
You missed your buddy Robin giving you shots across the bow earlier, Colossal.
I'll look at Mortal Online, but they
it ain't the next Star
pulled
Citizen.
their game back after their first release and spent another couple of years, and now they're trying at it again. It's the second bite at the apple, so looks good. Star Citizen looks good.
Okay, and our last question is from Little Ball of Purr. With regards to tempering expectations of new players, do you think that the referral program is a bad incentive? That it's a bad incentive? I'll take this one. I don't think it's a bad incentive. I just think that the incentives aren't always strong enough for players to get behind it and want to participate. There are some people who do want to participate, but a lot of people who've been around for a while it doesn't drive them. Like, I don't worry about referrals. I don't think I've ever posted my referral code anywhere. I hate to say that. I do have had some that have come in from my early days when we first got started, but I don't think I've got past level 1 or level 2 of referrals. Just because there's nothing really there to drive me for it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, because I was hesitant about inviting people into the game in its current state, I didn't tell people about it either. But I do think that CIG could make the referral program a little better, that they could offer a few more things. There are things like, for example, many of you guys who are subscribers get rec, right? Rec right now doesn't do anything unless you are in Arena Commander. Now, some of us have built literally millions in rec sitting there right now. Thank you, Big Black Gaming, 1,000 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you, as always. And the lovely, the only Levi, thank you for the follow. What's going to happen with that rec? You know, we've been paying subscriber money month after month after month. Some people year after year after year. That rec is there. If you're not into Arena Commander, that's something that you bought that you want to have some value to. Now, will CIG convert that into UEC, or will they put something in the game that allows you to maybe rent ships with it in game or something? But they're going to have to figure out something with that. But it's a frustration. But as an incentive, that should be something that we could use in game. And rec's been in since the very beginning, the early days of this game. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, it means absolutely nothing, even though I have a couple million sitting in my account. Okay. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there for me. We covered a lot tonight, a lot of good stuff, a lot of good information. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys gave us some really good comments. I can't wait to go back and read all this chat again. You guys shared a lot of good stuff. To my co-hosts, Gomab and Younique, thank you guys as always for sharing your great wealth of knowledge. We want to give a special thanks to RabbahHagri, who came on board. He came amongst us white knights and tried to level our perspective, to even us out a little bit more, to make us back in touch with the real world. But he shared really, really good stuff, and he did some really good homework. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, yeah, we're going to have you back for sure. Absolutely. We got to talk about next week, because we've got another guest that's going to be on with us next week. Next week, we are doing we're continuing our series on industrial strength. There was one ship we completely forgot, Gomab. Crucible. We completely forgot about that ship, the repair ship.
Oh, wow.
And people are looking forward to the repair mechanic.
So did CIG.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to clip that for real. We're going to clip that one for real. Okay. Yeah, but the Crucible is one of those ships that we have forgot to talk about. I hate to say that, but we really did forget about that ship. And a lot of people are interested in the whole repair mechanic, and we keep hearing that the salvage and repair is coming. So we're going to make sure we talk about the Crucible. We're going to special guest on next week will be, oh God, Star
Alzheimer's in real time.
Oh, help me out. Fast card, help me out. Star Jump Grim.
Star Jump
Grim is going to be on next week, and he's going to bring some visuals for us and make that Crucible come alive for us, which is awesome. He did that for us with the Endeavor, and he's excited to be here next week, and we hope you guys will be here with us and join us next week. And as always, Thursday, Soul Talk. Fastcart hosts that. We sit in on with him. That is our community show where you guys can come in and sit and talk with us directly in Discord and share your thoughts about Star Citizen. I'm not sure if ISC comes back this week or next week, but as always, there's something to talk about with Star Citizen. So hopefully you guys can join us on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Yes. And next Sunday show will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So hopefully you guys can join us for the Crucible show as well. I think that's been it. Who are we rating tonight? I got a whole bunch of names here. It looks like we're going to be rating somebody called Maxifer. I've never seen Maxifer before. All right. There we go. All right, we're going to be rating Maxifer. You all send some love to Maxifer when you get over there. Again, thanks everybody for being here tonight. You guys stay safe, take care of yourselves, and as always, peace, love, and soul, and we'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves.